We all know that the Microsoft 365 environment has loads of different applications: Word, Excel, Outlook, Teams, OneDrive, Engage, SharePoint, so on. And in a lot of these applications, you can perform pretty much the same task. If you want to create a chart, well, you can do it in Excel or in SharePoint or in PowerPoint. You want to create a formatted document, well, you can do it in Word, OneNote, Outlook. Now, this duplication may sound like needless overkill. Why do you need lots of different applications that do the same thing? And clearly, Microsoft thought the same, because they came up with Microsoft Loop. Now, the idea behind Loop is that instead of there being lots of different applications where you can create a table, for example, why not have just one application, but this system is plugged into all the other applications? And this is why you may have noticed the little loop icons appearing in Microsoft Teams or PowerPoint or Outlook. Loop lets you plug the same task list into your Teams chat, into an Outlook email, into a Word Online or a whiteboard, and presumably more applications will begin to support Loop components into the future. So, instead of 4 checklists in 4 applications, it's one checklist in 4 applications. Which is all very well, but so what? The Microsoft 365 ecosystem is already so befuddling and convoluted that this seems to be only adding to the confusion. Why should we care? Well, there are 3 things that can be of real practical value here. The first is that Loop makes sharing information a lot easier. Now, we know that sharing anything in Microsoft 365 is a complete pain. The sharing options seem to move all over the place, options are hidden away in corners, and even if you get a shareable link, you still have to grant access to everyone as a weirdly separate process. In Loop, you can copy components into different applications, and yes, you still have to grant access too, but this becomes a simple matter of clicking the notification. Now, this is a genuine help. Another thing is that with Loop, you can share specific information across multiple applications, and all of them will have the same information. So if you have an information table that you need students to complete, you can add that table to Teams, put it in an email, or add a link to Moodle, and from all of these different locations, students can add information to the same table. This means reduced duplication, and it means wider reach because students don't have to trawl through different applications to find it. This too is a genuine help. But, and it is inevitably a big but, it wouldn't be Microsoft if they weren't making life a little more complicated in one form or another, and so Loop is not without problems. We all know the baffling way in which Microsoft applications store information. Record a meeting in Teams or create a document in Teams. Where's it stored? Who knows? It could be on OneDrive, it could be on SharePoint. The only thing you really know is that you probably deleted it by accident because of something you clicked in Excel. And the same goes for Loop. Create a loop in Teams, and where exactly is it? How can I manage my Loop components if I don't know where any of them are? For example, if I want to stop people responding to a table, I might delete it in Teams, but still have people adding things from Outlook and Whiteboard. It is perhaps for this reason that Loop has never seemed more than a wee curio, a gadget, that can be interesting and fun, but it's really just a trivial toy to play with until you get bored. Until now. This is Loop Workspaces. You may not have seen it, but if you go to your Microsoft 365 and click on the Wii Apps drawer, you can see it right here. And why is this so good? Because right here on the Recent Components tab, you can see all your Loop components in one place. Open the component and everything is here. If you created your table in Teams, Outlook, Word or Whiteboard, it will still appear here together with every contribution made across all those 3 platforms. But that's not all. In this main tab, you can create Loop Workspaces, collections of Loop components on a single page or a sequence of pages. Now, at first glance, this doesn't seem to add much. You just get a blank page you can write in and build up content like a web page. Not really much different to a OneNote page or a SharePoint page. However, Loop is much easier to use, easier to share, and easier to export as a static PDF file. So, what we have now is something that acts very much like an e-portfolio, where students collaborate on projects with a really helpful array of template components using multimedia and multimodal collections of evidence that can receive iterative feedback from teachers and peers and then be submitted as a final assignment. Now, this is really exciting, because having a workable and intuitive e-portfolio platform is something that many of us have been desperately wanting for years. Now, there's a lot more that we can look at in Loop, but for now, suffice to say that while I was initially skeptical, it does look as though there is potential here to be really, really useful.